This is John LeBaron with Chimney Jack Professionals. This is the video portion of my inspection for the living room fireplace system, or this is the main video. We're at the very top of the system, and because of the bright light we can't see the screen, but there's a spark arrestor there, and then there is a decorative shroud over that spark arrestor as well. At this point I'm not sure if that's the manufacturer's shroud or a custom made one. As we bring the camera down, we basically look at the connections for the inner walls. You can see some crimping. It looks like there's 2 to 3 small crimps at each connection. This is actually something I'm going to contact the manufacturer about and get a little more information from them on. Crimping here. Now this is the vertical pipe, and this is our offset elbow, and you can see here that we have a small hole right at the center of the screen, and there basically this area, this is a joint, and there are 2 layers of sheet metal. You can see the hole goes through both layers. These 2 holes here have a layer of sheet metal behind them, and that's the only one that I've found on this particular elbow. There's our crimping there. You know, I've heard several different schools of thought. I've heard how the holes really don't matter, and then I've also heard how the crimping is a significant issue, and then I've heard the opposite. All I can really do from my perspective is go off of what the Underwriters Laboratory, the UL listing of the product is, and also the standards for fireplace manufacturer and chimney manufacturer. The standard is no holes, and another standard is you're not supposed to crimp the pipes, because the system wasn't designed to crimp it, to put it together. So at this point, without any more information or any more facts to go off of, all I could do is recommend a repair. So I'm going to be contacting the manufacturer and just see what else I can come up with. Now this is the offset elbow, and we can see that hole even more clearly, which is very often what I get is when I look at a system like this, I'll actually usually see more holes. But I'll usually see a much smaller hole at the return elbow and a larger one at the offset. Now that could just be luck of the draw. And then we'll see the 2 lower holes that have the sheet metal backing. So I want to really make clear what we're seeing here. There are 2 layers of metal here. One layer has a hole in it and the other layer does not. Actually almost looks like 3, but regardless, we have at least 2. We have a layer and we have a hole, and then when we come over here we have at least 2, but they both have holes in them. As we bring the camera down, we pass our damper blade. We can look up into the chimney and see where the pipe connects. Then we have our refractory wall panels here. The refractory wall panels actually have cracks in them. All 3 of these panels have cracks. Now this one here actually has several cracks, and you can see an opening and closing at the crack here. You know, it's one of those things where I don't see why these refractories are not functional in their current condition, but they're going to need to be replaced at some point. Whether that's a year from now, 5 years from now, I really can't tell you, but at some point they will need to be replaced. We have a gas log system in here. I'm going to turn on the fireplace before I'm done, just to try to figure out how well it drafts. We have a damper, and the purpose for the damper is to close off the opening for energy conservation. Now when you have a gas log system, you're supposed to not be able to close it. As you can see, we can close it fairly easily. You can also see that a clamp was put on there, but that clamp is ineffectual. So we'd need to put a proper clamp on there to prevent it from closing. These materials here are not made of wood, this mantle, and that's appropriate, that's what we expect. But we do have a gap between the mantle and the sheet metal over the facing of the firebox. And that's easy, that needs to be sealed with a fireproof sort of sealant. Ensure you review my written report for all my findings and recommendations.